Welcome, everyone. We're doing a deep dive today, looking closely at, well, quite a storm brewing over at the Alpine Formula One team. This is all really kicked off following the latest analysis on the F1 Blogs channel. We're talking Franco Colapinto suddenly getting the race seat, Jack Doohan finding himself on the sidelines, and team boss Oliver Oakes, well, he's out completely.
It's a lot to take in, really.
Exactly. So was this just, a desperate move, or is there more to it? Maybe something orchestrated by Flavio Briatore. We're going to unpack the F1 Blogs commentary and see what Colapinto himself had to say.
Okay, so the headline news first. Franco Colapinto, he's in the Alpine A525, their current F1 car, starting from Imola.
Right, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.
Which means Jack Doohan, who started the season, is out of that full-time drive.
And the F1 Blogs analysis, well, they weren't exactly subtle about it. They suggested Doohan was under huge pressure pretty much from day one.
Well, the performance comparison does paint a picture. Gasly, his teammate, he scored points twice, Bahrain and the Miami Sprint.
And he nearly got points in China, too, before that disqualification.
Exactly. Doohan, on the other hand, 0 points. And, hasn't really looked close either, if we're being honest.
And what about qualifying? That's usually a good indicator.
Yeah, F1 Blogs highlighted this. Gasly outqualified Doohan 5-1.
Yeah.
That's pretty decisive.
That kind of gap on a Saturday really puts you on the back foot for Sunday, doesn't it? Makes scoring points so much harder.
Definitely. And then there's the other angle. F1 Blogs brought up this championship of destructors idea.
Ah, yes, suggesting Doohan's had a few too many incidents.
Basically, yeah, highlighting the cost of the crashes. And in this budget cap era, every shunt, every repair bill, it really hurts.
It takes money away from development, from upgrades. You can see why someone like Briatore, who's known for being very focused on the financials,
would be paying close attention. The F1 Blogs piece suggested Briatore, with his influence, was probably quite keen to make a change. Maybe saw Colapinto as the better bet earlier on.
It lines up with the narrative around Briatore's return, doesn't it? Making those tough calls.
And it seems this driver swap wasn't the only big change. Oliver Oakes, the team principal, his departure is interesting timing, to say the least.
Yeah, F1 Blogs pointed out he resigned Tuesday night, just before the Colapinto news broke.
That does raise an eyebrow or two.
It really does. And if you rewind a bit, Oakes came in last July, and Doohan was confirmed as a driver just about a month later.
So the F1 Blogs analysis hints that Oakes might have been a key supporter of Doohan within the team.
That seems to be the suggestion. Maybe Oakes was backing Doohan while Briatore was looking towards Colapinto. Potential internal friction there.
So the official line is personal reasons for Oakes leaving?
That's the official line, yes. But the F1 Blogs piece was, let's say, quite skeptical about that.
Understandable skepticism, perhaps.
Well, yeah, especially when F1 Blogs also mentioned that report from Autosprint linking Oakes to maybe potentially the Red Bull team boss job.
Oh, really? Amidst all the rumors about Christian Horner and his support base? Exactly. Just adds another layer of, intrigue to Oakes' departure.
It certainly does. And wasn't there something about Oakes recently defending Briatore publicly?
Yeah, F1 Blogs picked up on that too. Interpreted it as maybe, something he had to say given the situation. Bit awkward, perhaps.
Right. Okay, let's shift focus to the driver coming in, Franco Colapinto. He sounded pretty excited in his statement, getting back into F1 with Alpine at Imola.
Well, Imola's in Italy, and Italy's quite significant for him, isn't it?
That's right. He moved there when he was just 14 for his racing career.
And he's won there before. F1 Blogs mentioned victories at Monza in Formula Renault, and actually at Imola itself in Formula 2.
Plus, his F1 debut last year with Williams was also in Italy at Monza, so definitely some positive history there.
And he seems ambitious. Despite Alpine not being, at the front right now, his comments suggest he's aiming high, wants to win.
The expectation, according to the F1 Blogs analysis anyway, is that he should be closer to Gasly's pace than Doohan was.
Yeah, a key point they made was his reputation for adapting quickly to new cars. Seems to be a strength of his.
They even compared him to Alex Albon last year at Williams, suggesting he held his own pretty well.
Which is encouraging.
Yeah.
And beyond the driving, F1 Blogs also touched on his personality. That spark they mentioned, good for marketing, good for the team's image.
In today's F1, that definitely matters. Being marketable.
But there's a catch with this deal, isn't there? The contract length.
Yeah, the F1 Blogs piece highlighted this very strongly. It's, only guaranteed for 5 races?
To 5. Imola, Monaco, Spain, Canada, Austria. Then a review before Silverstone.
That seems incredibly short-term.
It does. The commentator on F1 blogs sounded pretty baffled by it, actually, putting that kind of pressure on a driver straight away.
Yeah, knowing you've only got 5 races to prove yourself, that's intense. Could easily affect how you perform.
And meanwhile, Jack Doohan, he's still there as the first reserve driver.
Which must be an awkward position.
Very. And F1 blogs raised the point, if Alpine did need him again, what would his mindset be like? Being dropped like that, it's tough psychologically. Can definitely impact performance if you get called back.
So how is Briatore framing this whole thing? What's the official justification?
Well, the F1 blogs report cited him talking about, the competitive nature of F1, needing to evaluate drivers properly, especially looking ahead to the big rule changes in 2026.
Standard stuff, perhaps?
Pretty much. But the subtext, as F1 blogs read it, is clear. Doohan wasn't delivering the results needed.
They need both cars scoring points, basically.
Exactly. It boils down to performance and getting points on the board consistently.
And the overall take from the F1 blogs commentator, they seemed quite sympathetic towards Doohan in the end.
Yeah, there was definitely a feeling that maybe he wasn't given a fair crack, not enough time, especially with all the rumors constantly swirling around him.
But at the same time, they seemed convinced about Colapinto.
Yes, strong conviction there that Colapinto just has more raw potential, more marketability, a better fit for Alpine long-term, in their view.
And F1 blogs tied this back to Luca De Meo, the Renault Group CEO, and his previous statements about wanting the F1 team to be profitable.
Precisely. Linking Briatore's return and these kinds of decisions to that bigger financial picture, making the team sustainable.
It adds up, in a way.
And just to underline Colapinto's readiness, F1 blogs mentioned some recent testing he did.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
At Monza, apparently in a 2023 Alpine car. He was reportedly half a second quicker than Paul Aron, another Alpine junior.
Okay, so that adds weight to the decision, suggesting he was the clear choice to step in right now.
It reinforces that, yeah. So, confirmed. Colapinto replaces Doohan for these next 5 Grand Prix.
So, wrapping this up, what does it all mean for Alpine, for Colapinto under this immense pressure, and just for the whole F1 driver market?
Well, this deep dive into the F1 blogs analysis shows it's complex. Performance is key, obviously. But there are clearly strategic decisions, maybe some internal politics, maybe financial pressures, all playing a part.
Definitely. Colapinto's rapid promotion, Doohan being pushed aside so quickly, it really makes you think about how teams manage young talent, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And then you've got the Briatore factor, Oaks leaving.
Yeah.
It adds so much intrigue.
So the big question for you listening is, can Colapinto actually thrive with just 5 races guaranteed? Can he deliver under that spotlight? And what are the long-term consequences for Alpine after making such a decisive, some might say ruthless, move?
Lots to keep an eye on in the coming races.
For sure. Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive, drawing on the insights from the F1 Blogs channel. For more F1 analysis and to follow stories like this, make sure you head over to F1 Blogs and, hit that subscribe button to stay updated.